Inferential statistics is something in where we take a sample, because that most of the time that's all we can get. We're going to take a sample. We can't get the entire population. We take a sample and we analyze it, and then we make a decision. So we get our information, our evidence, we look at it in a number of different ways, both numerically and graphically through a picture, and then we make a decision. A couple other things in this chapter would be a scatter plot. We've made scatter plots. And if you think, we did Bungee-Barbie last quarter, and what we're looking at is association. So sometimes it will go up. We call that a positive association due to the slope. Sometimes they'll go down. We would call that a negative association. As one decreases, the other increases. And then last, we might have one that it just doesn't show us much. It's kind of scattered about, and we would call that neither. So what happens is we get a value called a correlation coefficient that actually tells us how strong our association is. So if I get a correlation coefficient of a 1, which means it has a 100% fit, and it's positive, so it's going to look like this. If I get an R to be -1, it means it has a negative 100% fit. It fits 100%, but it's going in the downward direction. So an R value for this type of correlation, what it's saying is how well maybe would a line fit that data. It could kind of fit. This one, I'm just making this up, might be a 45% or a 0.45. Notice it's positive because it's going up. It's about a 45% fit. Not a very good correlation. If it was 0.8, pretty darn good. So that number actually tells us the fit of the data to a model. And lastly in this chapter would be what we call the weighted average. And this happens on a quarterly basis with your grades. And so what happens, it's based kind of on worth. So let's suppose you have Math 116. You have 101 something or other, and maybe you have an art class worth 2 credits. So this is worth 5. We'll make this 101 worth 3, and you have an art class worth 2 credits. So if you look at your grades, a 5 credit A versus a 3 credit A, which would you rather have? The 5 credit A, because it's worth more. So what do we mean by that? Well, an A is worth 5 points. So if you have, an A is worth 4 points. Let's go back to this. An A is worth 4, a B is worth 3. So that's why they call it a 4-point scale. And you do get some points for a D. So if I have a 5 credit A and each A that I get is worth 4, that gives me 20 points toward my overall GPA. If I have a 3 credit B, that gives me 9 points. And this 2 credit A, well, an A is great because it's worth 4 points, but I only had 2 worth that, so that would be 2 times 4 or 8. So when I add this up, I get 37 points, but that's really not my GPA. What I need to do is go back and divide that by the number of credits I had. I had 10 credits. So a weighted average, notice I'm averaging, I added them all up. I'm divided by how many credits there were. That's going to give me what we call a 3.7. So what happens is that the weight is related to the number of credits that A is worth. So we weight it. The 5 credit A gets more points than the 2 credit A.